Welcome to Step 1, The Entrepreneur's Image. Michael Acton-Smith was born in 1974 and is CEO, creative director and founder of kids entertainment company Mind Candy, the driving force behind global kids phenomenon Moshi Monsters. He has been described by the Daily Telegraph as a rock star version of Willy Wonka and by The Independent as a polite version of Bob Geldof. Mind Candy created the online world of Moshi Monsters, which has over 75 million users around the world and has expanded offline into best-selling toys, the #1 selling kids magazine in the UK, a best-selling DS video game, a top 5 music album, which has gone gold in the UK, books, membership cards, trading cards, and much more. Mind Candy is valued at £200 million. Michael Acton-Smith's ultimate vision is to build the largest entertainment brand in the world for this new digital generation of kids. So, hi Michael.
Hello.
Thank you for agreeing to do this interview. It's
My pleasure.
great to be in your fabulous offices with all these monsters.
Thank you. Yes, welcome to the Mad Moshi House.
And thank you for agreeing to be a mentor in our education programme.
No problem.
So my first question is, how old were you when you started your first business and what was it?
So I've always loved business and entrepreneurial things. I was quite young when I started washing cars. I had a paper route. I launched a computer games magazine when I was at school. Nothing that made me much money, but it was just fun learning about it all. And my first proper venture was probably after going to university. Okay. When I left, I set up a company called Berwickstock, and I used to love toys and gadgets and games, and we created a business online to sell all those crazy products.
Oh wow, okay. So what were you about, how old were you then?
I was in my early 20s when I did that.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. And then, so just tell us a little bit about what you do now. How did the Firebox business sort of lead into what you do now?
So I love Firebox. I learned a lot from it, building that business over many years. But one of my other big passions is games. I've always loved playing video games. And my dream as a kid was to run my own video game company. So a few years ago, I stepped back from Firebox to launch Mind Candy. And the idea is to create sort of new types of games and entertainment. And we created one game that didn't work out so well, bit of a steep learning curve. And then the second game we created was Moshi Monsters, which has been a much, much bigger success.
Did you ever think Moshi Monsters would become such a huge kids craze, or was it something that just happened?
Well, like a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm quite optimistic. Yeah. So I always hoped it was going to be a big success, but you never really know. And I don't think I quite expected how massive it's become, with kids playing all around the world, with books and toys. We've got our first movie about to come out. It's been pretty amazing. And it all started about 5 years ago. I was sitting in a coffee shop, just daydreaming, had too many espressos. I doodled this little monster on a napkin, and I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to bring it to life and to allow people to adopt it? And so then I created a website with a few friends, and it kind of just grew from there.
So did you animate these monsters then on the website, or did you have to get people to help you with that, or did you kind of do everything yourself?
Well, I love drawing, but I'm not a particularly good artist. So I found an amazing artist in France called Vincent. I just searched online for many months until I found him. And then I had some friends who were kind of engineers and understood programming and were able to help me build the website. And then slowly by surely it kind of just grew from there. And now we have 200 people, but at the beginning it was just a handful of us.
Yeah, so some of our young people watching this, they might think that you need to have certain qualifications or you need to be a certain age to start a business. Do you think that you could do that at any age? And how you are at school, does that relate to how you are in business?
Not really. Some of the best entrepreneurs dropped out of school. Some went to university, but many didn't. I met this amazing entrepreneur the other day, a lad from Ireland who's 13, and he's launched his games company when he was 9. So wow. I think you can do it at any age with any qualification. What you do need though is passion, and you need to really love what you're doing, because you're going to be spending an awful lot of time on it. Yeah. And when you find that thing that you really love, whatever it is, whether it's your hobby or something you're kind of super excited about, then you don't mind spending such a long time about it. Your work becomes your play, and I think it's one of the most exciting ways to go through life.
Yeah, definitely, because you're talking about purpose in life there, finding your passion, something that you love to do, and then actually make money from it.
Exactly. And you know, there's never been a better time in history, I don't think, to be an entrepreneur or a freelancer. The internet allows you to reach a massive audience. There are 2 billion people online, so if you have an idea, no matter how niche or quirky or strange it is, there's probably going to be an audience for you out there. Whereas before the internet, you'd need to set up a shop, and how likely would your customers be walking past your shop? So that's why I love the web.
What skills and qualities do you think an entrepreneur needs? What does it take to be an entrepreneur?
Well, to be an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily need a lot of qualifications. As I say, you do need passion, though. That's probably one of the most important things. You have to really care about the product that you're building, and you need to be very willing to roll up your sleeves and work hard and spend a lot of time on it. You need to love to research it. You need to go online and look at what competitors are doing, maybe attend trade shows, kind of talk to people who've done it before and ask if you can have coffees with them. You need to be very resilient. As an entrepreneur, you get told no an awful lot. People shut the door in your face, and you need to be able to dust yourself off and not take no for an answer, and kind of find a way around obstacles and not get put off them.
So a lot of what you're talking about there is like having the confidence to be able to do that. So build up your confidence and obviously self-belief, because if you don't believe you can do it, nobody else is going to
Absolutely.
believe you,
I think confidence is one of the most important traits in life. You know, when you walk into a room or when you're asking someone for money or trying to convince someone of your idea, you have got to believe in it. You've got to exude that confidence. And if you don't, people can spot that.
Do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur?
I think anyone can be an entrepreneur, but again, you've really got to believe in yourself, and you've got to find something that you really love doing. You can't enter into it half-heartedly. And you know what? You don't necessarily need to leave school and become an entrepreneur immediately. One of the best things I recommend to people is working in an entrepreneurial business. Not necessarily a huge corporation with thousands of employees around the world, but maybe a small company with a handful of people, and getting to know the founders and learning from them and picking up their energy. And while you're doing that, figuring out what your big idea might be. And when the time is right, then going to do it.
How many years did it take you to become a millionaire? Because some people might think, oh, I'll just start this business and next week, you know, someone will just write me a cheque for £1 million, but it doesn't quite work like that.
It doesn't work like that. You know, if you read the papers and look at the success stories, you think, oh, this is so easy. You just start, and then a week later you're a millionaire.
I know the media make it look like that,
It's definitely not like that.
When they put all your hard work on one sheet of paper and you think, well, you've left out quite a lot there.
Absolutely. Rome wasn't built in a day. So, you know, for us at Firebox, it took many years. And, you know, and because we loved the journey so much and because we were learning as we went, we didn't mind. So, yeah, many, many years before we had real success. And, but, you know, that's the nature of it. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yes, exactly. So what advice would you give to a young person who has a great business idea or invention but doesn't have any money to fund it?
Raising money for a startup is one of the most difficult, challenging things. So I would say, basically, you don't need a lot of money to launch a business. If you can find a way to test it for as cheap as possible, you should do that. So if you've got a new product idea, see if you can create a prototype and show it to people, see what they think. Or if you're creating a website, put it live and just see if you can get a few users, get a little bit of momentum. And then once you've got a momentum, once you've got something, then see if you could find some angel investors. You can search for them online, people that have maybe had successes with previous businesses, and see if they're intrigued. Go to networking events. There are lots of them up and down the country. Yes, there you go. I do one every Friday in Shoreditch.
Is that
Silicon Drinkabout. And you never know who you might meet, and just chat, connect. And for us, when we were starting Firebox, we went to an event. We found an investor that was intrigued about our idea. They invited us into their office, had a few meetings, and then they put some money into our business. So it's not easy. Banks are not willing to lend money. Maybe if you've got friends and family that can give you a little bit of cash to get going, that's another route. But you have to be very, very creative, resourceful and resilient. And if you're the sort of person that says, oh, it's so hard raising money, you're probably not going to be the right person to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so basically don't think of money as a barrier, just think of it as an opportunity.
Exactly.
Because lots of people don't start, do they? Because they think, oh, I don't have any money.
No, you don't need lots of money. What if your product was so simple that you could, the first sales that you generate enable you to get more money to buy more products, and then round and round you go. You know, probably the best business to start with isn't one that requires you to buy a factory for millions of pounds or to buy huge equipment. You know, it's something that maybe you could create yourself and say sell it, and then my goodness, then you've got cash to maybe buy 2 and then 4 and then 8, and away you go from there.
So, a bit of a fun question now. What is the most expensive thing you've ever bought and how much did it cost?
Oh my goodness. Well, one of my dreams is to one day to buy an island.
Okay.
I loved what Richard Branson did with Necker, and I got the chance to visit it earlier this year, which was incredible.
With Richard Branson?
Yes,
Wow.
We played tennis and chess and backgammon. He's
that's
amazing. He's a big hero and inspiration for me.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be amazing to own an island one day and to be able to take the team there and entertain friends. But I haven't quite got enough cash to do that just yet.
No, so did you just buy a house until
the
you
biggest
buy your island?
thing, I haven't even bought a house yet. Probably, bizarrely, the biggest thing I've bought so far has been a domain name.
Oh, okay.
A very expensive domain name that I bought for one of my new businesses, calm.com, which is a new business about kind of mindfulness and relaxation, and something that entrepreneurs are usually not very good at. But and I throw a lot of parties and events and like going on crazy holidays with my friends. So I am not hugely driven by money. I think it's nice to have, but I'm not the sort of person that wants to go out buying crazy cars or throwing cash around.
Yeah, so more sensible.
A little bit more sensible.
Could you give us an example of your perfect business day? So like a day in the life of you, but if that's not your perfect day, then what would happen?
So I love spending time here at Mind Candy. We've got so many creative people, and I love the variety that comes with it. So meeting different departments who are working on different projects. Could be everything from the script for the movie to a new Moshi song to dreaming up new characters. But I also love spending time on my own as well. And I like to take myself off to coffee shops and sit there with my pen and paper, doodling and sketching out ideas and thinking for the future. So that would be great. And then maybe ending the day with an event. A lot of my friends run businesses as well. So we go to a lot of launch parties and events, and letting my hair down at the end of the day is kind of a fun way to finish things.
And then flying off to your island.
Maybe, yes. Yeah, that could be a fun thing to do the next morning.
What is the biggest risk you've ever taken, and what did you learn from it?
I think probably the biggest risk was I think probably switching from the product that didn't work at Mind Candy, the first game that we launched, realising that that wasn't working and feeling in my gut that this is not going to go anywhere. Even though we were winning lots of awards, we got a lot of press attention for it, and having to sit down with the whole team and say, guys, this isn't working, we're going to have to stop this. That was pretty awful. But I had this other idea, Moshi Monsters, and fortunately we put all our energy on that, and that turned out to be the right decision. But it was a pretty tough call at the time.
Have you ever failed at anything, and if so, what did it teach you?
Yeah, I failed at many things, and a lot of people assume entrepreneurs get everything right, and that's not true. You often learn most from the things that go wrong. What I would say, the best way to fail is to do it fast. So if you can test stuff and discover that it doesn't work, and then try something new, and if that doesn't work, try something new. As long as you're doing it iteratively and quickly, that's great. If you're so wedded to one idea and it takes you 5 years to discover it doesn't work, that's not great.
Where did you and where do you get your inspiration from?
I love reading. I read everything from new blogs to magazines to books. I love being inspired by other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So everything from Richard Branson's autobiography was brilliant, through to Ted Turner and many other entrepreneurs. The guys from Innocent were fantastic as well. I love watching business TV shows, everything from The Apprentice to Dragon's Den. And I think the more places you can take inspiration from, the better. Yeah, that's where a lot of my ideas come from.
So if you could recommend one book for young people to read, would it be a Richard Branson autobiography, or would it be something else? Or?
So many great books out there. Let me suggest two. One is called The Element by Ken Robinson, which is all about finding the one thing in life that you love more than anything, and that is your element. Whether it's wanting to be a pop star or an entrepreneur or a journalist, whatever it is, that's your element, and that's the thing you go super, super deep on. And that book is very inspirational to help you find what your element might be. And the other great book, which I just read the other day, is called The Greatness Guide by Robin Sharma, and it has 100 lessons about being great. Sounds a bit weird, but it's just all those kind of really wonderful, inspirational things to help you be successful in life.
Have you ever worked for anyone or been an employee? And if so, do you prefer being an entrepreneur?
I have. I used to work in the city. I thought I wanted to be an investment banker. And then when I was raising money to travel the world when I was younger, I did a lot of temping jobs and I got to work in a lot of offices. And you know, I didn't love it, but it was a great learning experience. I met a lot of different people. I learned about a lot of different businesses, and I always knew I was maybe going to do my own thing, but you have to wait until the timing is right. So I did that for probably a year or so before launching my own business. And on balance, I think I definitely prefer running my own company. It's harder work, it's more intense, but it's more fun.
Do you find being an entrepreneur stressful? And if so, how do you deal with the stress?
It's very intense, it is very stressful, it's very long hours, but the plus sides are so fantastic. You know, the travelling the world, the meeting new people, the adventures you go on.
And the independence.
The independence, exactly.
Yeah.
Being in control of your own destiny, coming up with your own ideas, I think that offsets all the stress. And you know, life is stressful, it is intense. When you work for someone else, that can be very stressful. At least when you're an entrepreneur, you control that. And you're kind of in charge of all the decisions that gets made.
What do you enjoy doing in your spare time, and how do you switch off from work?
Well, I love the business so much, and I love the products we create, that I don't really switch off. You know, work and play all blend into one kind of big adventure. So a lot of the events I go to, a lot of the holidays I go on are with friends who run businesses as well. But when I'm not working, I love playing football, I play poker, I read a lot, I love travelling, so do a few other bits and bobs as well.
What advice would you give our young entrepreneurs starting out?
I think one thing is to research and go deep on whatever it is you're passionate about. You know, you can't really take shortcuts. Read a lot online, research your product or your market in magazines, read books and be inspired in that way. Very, very important. And secondly, make sure whatever you choose you're doing is something you care about, something you're passionate about. And those are probably the two best bits of advice I could give.
And just to finish, what is your favourite quote?
Gosh, many, many quotes. I love quotes. I think they can be very, very inspirational.
Yeah, we've got them all through our workbooks.
Oh, have you?
Them as well.
Oh.
Yeah, they're brilliant.
You know, Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of one of the US presidents, said something great, which was do something every day that scares you. You know, get out of your comfort zone. If you're always just doing the same thing, shake that up, because only by going to the edges, getting out of your comfort zone, do you learn and do you evolve and do you get better. And sometimes, you know, you fail. But more often than not, you succeed and you become stronger and better. So that's a good quote. I love the one that Disney said, if you can dream it, you can do it. Have that dream, have that vision for what you want to achieve. Even if it's years off, you know, owning that amazing house or owning your own island or having that huge business. Dream it, visualize it, and then every little thing that you do can get you little steps closer and closer to it.
That's some great advice. And what you're saying about comfort zone, it's like push yourself to step forward into growth instead of back into safety. If you're always feeling safe and comfortable, then you're not doing enough, are you, to get yourself to the next level?
Exactly. You know, life isn't a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
Squeeze the juice out of it. Do the most you can. And running your own business is one of the most exciting adventures you can have in life.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it gives you lemons, make lemonade.
Absolutely. There you go.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool. Cheers.